Kabbalistic analysis of Matthew 5, 1-3. And seeing the multitudes, he went up into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him. In the Tanakh, the mountain is one of the most common places of symbolic meaning. Mount Sinai, Mount Zion, Mount Moriah, Mount Ephraim, and so on. But in Kabbalah, a mountain is not merely a geographical location. It is an archetype of the ascent of light and a place where heaven and earth meet. The mountain, a place where the divine and the earthly meet, a sphere of connection between worlds. Ascending the mountain, the ascent of consciousness, a spiritual elevation through the Sephirot from Malkut toward Keter, symbolically. In Kabbalah, the disciple is the lower vessel, receiving the light of knowledge from its source. The teacher is a channel of light, or ore, while the disciple is the kli, the vessel that receives, reflects, and multiplies that light. Therefore, his disciples symbolize the expansion of light and the spreading of wisdom. Within the system of the Sephirot, this can be understood as a process in which Bina, understanding, gives birth to branches through Zer Anpin, transmitting wisdom downward. When the Torah speaks of the disciples of a sage, Kabbalah may see them not simply as individuals, but as channels of light that continue the teacher's spiritual line. What angels are in essence? Malak means messenger. An angel is a spiritual function with a specific task. An angel has no independent will of its own. It simply fulfills its mission. For this reason, angels are sometimes called omdim, those who stand, while a human being is called a mehalek, one who walks, because a person is capable of spiritual growth. Energy clothed in form. An angel can be understood as spiritual light clothed in a particular garment, a form, law of nature or image, so that it can act within a specific world and on a specific level. What angels do? They carry nourishment and judgment. Some channels transmit mercy, such as rain and sustenance, while others transmit severity, judgment, and limitation. They guard and accompany. This includes the spiritual princes of nations, guardian angels, and the Malachei Shalom, the angels of peace mentioned in the Friday night liturgy. They carry prayers and responses. Angels connect levels of speech and action, and accompany revelation, as in the visions of the divine chariot. They fulfill specific missions. A classic principle is that one angel is appointed for one particular task. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Kabbalah is built upon verses such as this. The divine presence, Shekhinah, dwells precisely where there is inner humility and modesty, rather than pride. But this is the one to whom I will look, he who is humble and contrite in spirit, and trembles at my word. Isaiah 66:2. The eye as a vessel. In Kabbalistic language, ani, I, can be understood as a kli, a vessel. As long as the eye is completely filled with itself, there is no room for the or, the light, to enter. When a person becomes like the anivei ruach, the humble or poor in spirit, he becomes a vessel for the light. This is the meaning of bittul hayesh, the nullification of the ego, the independent sense of self before the source. Lihiot merkava la Shekhinah, to become a chariot for the Shekhinah, as the patriarchs were described. The difference from a popular Christian interpretation. In some popular Christian readings, the phrase poor in spirit is sometimes understood as referring to those who are humble, unassuming, weak, or unwilling to struggle. Kabbalah, however, places the emphasis not on weakness, but on the conscious nullification of the ego. A person may be very strong and active, yet inwardly does not attribute his achievements to himself. The purification of desire, instead of "I want for myself," the orientation becomes "I want to be a channel for the will of the Creator." The state of the klai, the vessel, this is not passivity, but readiness to receive a higher light. So the Kabbalistic idea of being poor in spirit is neither depression nor an inferiority complex. It is a state of conscious spiritual humility. It is also significant that this is the first and the only one of the 9 Beatitudes in which the realization of the divine presence is expressed in the present tense. In other words, if you nullify the egoic spirit, then the kingdom of heaven is already yours. It is already within you.